Jai Ma. So, in this series of Bhagavat Puran, Srimad Bhagavatam, this is really a very, very fascinating, I don't know, scripture or truths which are clothed in very simple stories. Some of them we have been hearing since childhood. One such story that we are going to take up today is the story of Bhakta Prahlad. Almost, I think, in India, almost everyone has heard. But it's such a profound story where many great truths are put one into another. So, this, without much ado, because it's a long story, whole book of canto of Bhagavatam is devoted only to this story. So, we can understand its great importance. So the story begins with a question by King Parikshit. So King Parikshit says, I have heard that Sri Hari killed the demon king Hiranyaksh at the bidding of Indra. It means he is partial. That's how he puts it, like modern commentators. And if he is partial, how can he be really the Supreme Lord? And then he starts saying that no, he is not partial. You have not understood his activities. He is without, free from all conditions. He is not a conditioned being who will. Conditioned being means who acts action based on reactions. So it starts with a very quick summary of Hiranyak's story, which we'll quickly summarize. We have already spoken about it, and the story is that there are these two brothers. It goes back to Rishi Kashyap having these two wives, Aditi and Diti. And Aditi has given birth to Adityas, who are the gods, the 12 Adityas. And the 11th one is Indra, who is, Swarlok, and all the gods are born from her. And Diti gives birth to the demons, but the two most powerful demons that she gives birth to is Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu. Now, Adityas are, obviously, they are kingly beings, godly beings. And in the name itself, as I said, there are many hints, like Aditi means undivided consciousness. Diti is division. That's where Dvaita, Dvanda, see all, Diti, Daityas. So wherever there is the divisive mind which tries to divide things, there is the Daitya born. And wherever there is the Aditi, that which is unpartitioned. But it doesn't mean that it's accepting everything like a waste paper basket. It keeps everything in its right place. That's why the sun keeps everything in its right place. So Adityas. So Diti is, jealous, and she wants a son, children who are as powerful as the Adityas, and then she gives birth to, and as we know, little background of the story, just to recap, we have talked about it. She is moved by lust and desire to have children, which is very, right at the conception itself, there is a problem. Unlike Aditi, who doesn't want children for her own, when I grow old, somebody will look after me, or any such thing. Those songs, Mera naam karega roshan, mere jag mein mera raaz dulara, all this, none of these things. She is a surrendered being. She prays, worships, leads a very pious life, participates in yajna, and then she has these children who are Adityas. Diti is jealous. She wants, I want children so that they can be greater than Indra. See, the same story gets repeated in Karna and Arjun. So both are equal at one level. But Karna, though elder, see, he is actually always jealous of Arjun. Arjun has no such thing. He wants to be good. And he is good simply because he practices. But he wants to defeat Arjun. So the mindset is very different. So Diti gives birth to two powerful children because he is all the time wanting children who are strong, capable, very valiant, not valiant, but who can defeat Indra. And so she gets these two children. So very interestingly in the story itself, it says they were twins, but one way Hiranyaksh is the elder, But another way, Hiranyakashipu is the elder. Now, why you have to mention this little detail? We will see this. So, both of them are born and they are very strong. And as they grow up, they start threatening all the worlds. And Indra, as always, says now there's trouble and double trouble, not just one trouble. So he goes to Narayan that these people are threatening everything, looting, plundering, because they take it that this is our right. Might is right. So then Indra goes to Narayan and Narayan says, don't worry about it. I'll take care of things. And then at an opportune time, till he's looting Swarga, Narayan doesn't intervene. But the moment he picks up Prithvi and puts it underwater. Now Prithvi is the grand laboratory of God, where many things have to come. Now, right now, they have not yet started. So it'll be very interesting that in this story it'll come, that beginning of creation on earth. So Hiranyaksh puts it underwater. And that's when Narayan takes the form of a wild boar, Varaha avatar. And we know that he plays around and then finally kills him. And when he is killed, Hiranyakashipu is obviously very angered. Obviously may not be correct because he could have thought about it logically that my brother deserved this, he shouldn't have done what he did. But he reacted like any ordinary person, got very angry, and being himself powerful, he planned a strategy. So, strategy was how to defeat. Now his anger is not just at Indra. He wants to defeat Vishnu Bhagwan, Narayan, because he thinks he has done injustice towards him. Now, when you talk about injustice, you have forgotten the deeds that he has himself done. So, first, there is a very interesting speech there. Because Hiranyaksha has died, so all of them are very sad, all the wives and other people. And he talks to them and says very high philosophical things. He says, the person who lives inside is immortal. It does not die because the body dies. You will feel he is quoting from the Gita. Even narrates a few stories of that kind. You see, Sri Aurobindo has described this in the world of falsehood. That there are beings who climb high in speech and they will speak of things which are seemingly spiritual and divine. But how will you know? Some of them are asuras. How? Because they are harboring dark and wicked intentions. So typical asura, he will go speak nice katha. After that he is eyeing on the money that is going to come. So this is how the Lord knows the intent. But he is saying all these things to pacify them. And he is scheming in his mind. All that is shown. That he imitated as if he is a very pious man. And not pious, but like he is very philosophical. He says, well, that's how he is killed. So I am going now for tapasya. Sounds very good. It's so nice. His heart changed. His heart has not changed. So he says, I have to go for tapasya. You people be quiet. See, ultimately that's how body dies. Doesn't matter. Soul is immortal. All those things he says. So all of them go away. And then, and there are some stories which he concocts. Like once there was a man you will see many such concocted stories coming around. Where, Yamraj takes the form of a child and comes to speak to grieving queens and says, the person who has died, but you see he is still there, life has gone out of him, but his soul is carrying on. So they are all convinced and he steals the limelight, then he goes to do tapasya. So they are all very happy. But Indra knows what is his tapasya about. So he knows that his tapasya is to destroy Lord Vishnu himself as well as take over Swarga. So he knows that, he has got a child in the womb of his wife. His wife is an amazing character. Actually, in my stories on Feminine, Eternal Feminine book, 20 women which I selected, one of them is his wife. His wife is a Kayadhu. Very few people know. She is a Nag Kanya. And he has married her against her wishes. Forcibly got. There were many such kind of marriages that time. He is an Asura king and he forced the... Nagas are not these Nagas nor are they people living in Nagaland. They were people who were very grounded to earth. Nagas are those who are very, very strong creatures who are grounded to earth. That's how even the Naga, they share the name. So he got this lady, and she is carrying in her womb his seed. So Indra says, this fellow has gone for tapasya. I don't know what's going to come out, but at least I can destroy the seed. First he tries to do something to Hiranyakashipu, but he is very powerful as such. He has done his own austerities before this tapasya. So Indra can't harm him. He tries that. Then he says, let me destroy the seed of Kayadhu. So he goes and ransacks the palace. All the gods go. They destroy whatever they can destroy. And they want to carry Kayadhu to their place. Not for anything to harm her. They have already harmed enough the kingdom. But so that as soon as she gives birth to a baby, he is going to destroy the baby. This is whole idea. So Narad Muni knows the whole plan. So he comes and says, why are you people behaving like demons? What will be the difference if you set this standard? So they say, no, we are not going to harm her or hurt her. We are carrying her. She will stay with us. No harm done. The moment the child is born, we are just going to finish this child. He says, is it a good act you have done once, you remember? And so he remembers all that. So Narad says, okay, I'll tell you one thing. I'll take care of Kayadhu. You send her with me. And you guys go back and be happy in Swarga. Anyways, there is a lot of time. So they trust Narad and they understand that what Narad is saying is actually true. In passion. These gods of the Puranas are vital gods very clearly. They are not belonging to the higher mind regions like Vishnu, Brahma, Mahesh. So they go back to their Swarga, happy that they have done whatever they had to do. And Hiranyaksha is dead. Hiranyakashipu we'll see later. Though they are very worried that this fellow's tapasya is not just a normal tapasya. But they don't know what's going on in his heart. So he does a lot of tapasya where he, typical idea of our idea of tapasya, wrong idea of course, that he eats very little, he fasts, he lets moths come, ants come, torture to the body. Now that's not tapasya. True tapasya is mastery over your feelings, your thoughts, your vital will. That is the true tapasya. It's the inner tapasya. But asuras don't understand that. They can understand, I'll not eat food, that physical, because their consciousness is rooted in the physical. So he is engaging in tapasya, and on the other side, gods are in their world. And at that time, Kayadhu is in Narad Muni's ashram. What is Narad Muni doing? He is simply telling lovely stories of the Lord. So Kayadhu is listening, she is enjoying. Now, who is listening along with Kayadhu is the baby in the womb. See, this thought is there in Indian, and now there have been studies. Once I had even published an article that when a child is in the womb, it absorbs all that is happening around. If you play music, there have been studies actually. In Germany, there were studies that if you play music, then the child has spontaneously a musical ear. They didn't do study on Bhagavatam, but they did study that if they, while growing in the womb, if you play nice music, the child has a spontaneous musical ear. So all this Narad knows. He is, Harvard University professors come much later. So he has already started the process of telling stories of Hari. So Prahlad is listening. How is he listening? There is no ear. So we remember Kena Upanishad, Yanmanasana manute yena hurmanomatam. The mind behind the mind, the ear behind the ear, the eye behind the eye. So even when your outer ear may not be developed, but something in the consciousness from which all these things have come is listening. So Prahlad is born ultimately. And when Prahlad is born, he is spontaneously a devotee of Hari. So again, all this idea that because you are born in an Asur family, you will be Asur, all these are more modern. So he is born in a Asur family and a very deadly Asur's family. Now see how the intent matters. On the other hand, this man does so much tapasya that even there is a very rare experience. His Brahmarandra, there is fire burning here. And this fire begins to torment the worlds. That kind of tapasya. He is not eating, not sleeping. Ants and all kinds of moths are eating up his body, but he doesn't move. Somebody would start worshipping him, Jai Gurudev. And then, but Brahmaji knows the intent, all the gods know this is, sir, please do something. So Brahmaji goes and says, get up child, I am pleased with your tapasya. So he gets up and tapasya does have some effect. So he sings praises of Lord Brahma, and then he says, ask whatever you want to ask. He says, I want to be immortal. Now he has an intent is very clear. He says, rest I will see later. Brahmaji says, I am sorry, that's not applicable. ये उपलब्ध नहीं है, सेवा उपलब्ध नहीं है. So he says, okay, then I shouldn't die of any material condition. I shouldn't die with astra or shastra or inside or outside or during the day or during at night, nor of animal, nor of human beings, nor of gods, nor of anything you have created. Whatever you have created, I shouldn't die of that. Granted, tathastu. Now always there is a catch, we all know. So he is very happy that now I have become practically immortal. Now there is a great lesson in it. Whatever you may do, you may take any medicine, go do tapasya, keep your nirjala vrat, whatever you want to do. If your consciousness of immortality have not arrived at, you will die. Death will find its door. So he thinks now I am above death, beyond death. So now he torments, he defeats Indra, and gods allow. After all, they also misbehaved. So he goes and becomes king of Swarga. He goes and becomes, So then Indra runs away, sir, you have not done anything till now. He says, wait, I have my own way. So what does God do? He may not do big revolutions. He just lets children be born of a different kind. Now we talk about Gen Z, Gen A. He doesn't go by your political speeches, armies, that is human way. He just brings new children. So in his own house, his nemesis is there, but he doesn't realize. So he says, Indra, you go take rest in some ashram and, take care. And gods come to earth because they are driven away. And now Hiranyakashipu, he is a being of the celestial, other worlds. But he sends all his army, he himself comes here in disguise. Now in disguise play is going on. Hiranyakashipu's army is all in human masks and, gods also in human masks. Let's see what is happening. Meanwhile, now Prahlad has come. Prahlad is all about Hari, 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 Hari. So first he sends, so he comes and when he is very happy, I have a baby. So he takes the child in the lap, just a 2-year-old child, and he is loving him so much. And then he says, you know who I am? I am the king of the world. He says, no, Dad, that's not quite right. He says, what do you mean? King of the world is Hari. Now, this he cannot. He says, what? Who taught him this? So he appoints 2 main teachers who are children of Sukracharya, 2 sons. You train this boy. Who has taught him all this? So he said, don't worry, he's a baby, we'll tackle him. So they start teaching him all about all that is taught in Harvard University, how to and all kinds of research, that body is everything, there is nothing called Krishna, all this is all hocus pocus, psychoanalysis is the ultimate truth. And he has learnt all this, how to make money, invest, make money, all this he learns. At the end, they say, we have taught him last few years, we are teaching him. So he's very happy. Again he calls him, makes him sit in his lap. He says, so tell me what you have learnt. He starts saying, I have learnt of the supreme mystery of the Lord Hari. He says, what is this? He says, all comes from Hari, all goes to Hari. Now he is furious. And he says, this boy is a shame to me. So he calls all his demon fellows and says, do something about him. So they try everything. Some of them try to pierce him, hit him. Everything they try, nothing happens to him. He just sits in Hari, Hari, Hari. By the way, Mother has given a footnote to this story. If you live in the consciousness of the divine all the time, no harm can come to you. Mother's words. And she quotes, because Prahlad film was shown in the playground. Say, if you can live in that, no harm can come to you. He is also the symbol of the soul. Nainam chiddanti shastrani, nainam dhati pavakam. Everything they try. So then he doesn't know now what to do, and he feels very low outcast. So again, he scolds Sukracharya's sons. He's a child. Why are you taking so seriously? Give us one more chance. We'll try. So he tries, they try. Again, after some years, now he's learning politics and all this. When he comes and says, tell me who controls the world. You have learned politics. He says, yes. So tell me who controls the world. Waiting to hear his name, he says, Hari. So now it's like too much. He throws the boy, doesn't know what to do. And then his famous aunt, one of the sisters of Hiranyakashipu, Holika, that's how it is named. She appears. He said, look here, why are you trying all this complicated way? Because he's now worried that this boy will grow up, destroy the Asur kingdom. Mera naak nicha ho jayega, I will be. At the same time, he is worried that, what will happen to all this kingdom that he has, what will happen to the Asura empire. So he says, Holika, what is your idea? He says, nothing, I will just, he has such a faith in the Lord. We'll use it to finish him. He says, okay, how? He says, I'll just say that, look here, we are going to sit on fire. And as he says, I'll also sit with him. We'll demonstrate that by the name of Hari, nothing can happen to you. So she asks the boy, are you ready? He says, yes, by the name of Hari, what is there to fear? So she has a blanket, which if you wear that blanket, it cannot burn you. That she has got a boon. So she wears the blanket, puts Prahlad and lights up the fire. Everybody has gathered to see the magic. And Prahlad is all Hari, 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 Hari. And what happens? Suddenly there is a strong wind. The blanket flies from her, goes onto Prahlad's body. And Holika is burnt. That's what we celebrate, no? One day before Holi. We burn like Holika. Basically it's like, now what meaning we'll come to, but first the story. And nothing happens to Prahlad. Providence. So now he is very angry and he says, I am going to kill you now. I can't tolerate this. And Prahlad says, but why do you want to kill me? Because killing me will not solve your problem. He says, what's my problem? He says, your problem is you think you are the best and highest. That problem will not be solved if you kill me, because Hari will still remain the best. Then he is very angry. He says, where is Hari? He says, everywhere. In this pillar? Yes, in this pillar also. So he attacks the pillar. And lo and behold, who comes out of it? Narasimha Deva. Nursing avatar. Now what is the beauty of nursing? He is neither an animal, nor a human, nor a god. And he is not created by Brahma. Avatar is yet condition. So for some time he fights with him. And then as the sun is beginning to set on the horizon, he drags him out and on the threshold of the house, so it's neither in nor out. He takes him on his lap and tears his entrails. But the anger that is shown is so much that energy that is released out of Narasimha Avatar begins to now burn all the worlds. Even the gods in their world start getting burnt. They don't know what to do. So Brahmaji comes with all Indra and all and praise to them, praise to him, ki okay, now mission accomplished, sir. But he is not, he continues to be furious. And then Brahmaji says only Prahlad can appease him. So Prahlad goes, he bends at his feet and sings a beautiful hymn. He says, they ask him, are you afraid? He says, why should I be afraid? Why should I be afraid of the Lord? I am afraid of nobody. Fearless. And then suddenly he calms down, takes Prahlad in his lap and tells him, whatever you want to ask, you ask. He says, I want nothing I want to ask. I just want love for the Lord. Bhakti. That's it. Bhakti and seva. He says, that is already granted. And many things he grants. Like you will become the ruler of the Asur kingdom and all this. anything else you ask. He says, since you are insisting, I can't refuse. You are asking me to ask. So, my dad, I know he has done very foolish things, extremely angry, violent deeds, and now good thing is that he has died at your hands. That's the only good thing about him. But make sure that his karma doesn't affect all of. He says, you don't worry, you will become the king. And because he has died at my hands, now he is freed from karma, all his past karma. And then Prahlad becomes the king, and the rest of the story for later. So that's the story we all know. So what's special about the story? The story is starts with these two kinds of being, Aditi and Diti. So Diti is divisive consciousness. Now when Indra is killing, sometimes scheming, he is because it's his governance of the world. And he has to maintain the status of the world, and he knows that the asuras and the daityas may destroy. That's what he's trying, unjustly. So what to do? Maybe in straight combat he may not be able to win. So, but he has to maintain the balance of the world. He is like a subordinate to Lord Vishnu, who does it in his sleep. And when he also cannot do it, then he goes to Lord Vishnu. That is the basic thing about Indra. And dethroning Indra and these gods who are doing a function, their own job in a harmonious way, and imposing an asur kind of logic is to destroy ultimately, because they represent the power of division. When Indra governs or these gods govern, they govern on the basis of unity. So it's not like I want to be happy and make my kingdom great. They govern on the basis of whoever deserves, whoever is right, try to give them. That's their governance of the gods. But the asura loots. He says, my kingdom, and that will become the richest kingdom. He loots resources, whether it be petroleum, whether it be, gold somewhere. He loot the resources. So right now we are having asura versus asura. But that is how the asuras act. So Indra's job description is that whenever you see that they are going to create imbalance, you have to act. But that's a different story, very subordinate part of the story. The second interesting thing about the story is in the name Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu. First, asuras are children of division. So do we have within us? Yes. Man starts his career as an asura. Who is an asura who thinks only about me, myself? So 99.99% would fall in that category. It is by conversion that man becomes like a god. Saying that I think only about my family doesn't absolve us. Even Hiranyakashipu was thinking about his family. Even he was enraged because his brother was killed. In some movies you will see, Bhai ka khoon hua, main jaake. It's not about that. If you are only bothered about your family, you still belong to the asura category. So that's asura, child of division, who for the sake of his family or his kin will go to any extent, selfishly exploit. That's what Ravan was also doing. So this is the asura. But their names are very interesting. Asuras are everywhere that way. But what is the special thing about Hiranyaksha? That's an extreme. So Hiranya is gold, Aksh is the eye. He is eyeing gold. He is a man full of lust for money. He wants more and more and more. This is Hiranyaksh. Hiranyakashipu, he is covered with gold. He believes I am the one. So this is the difference between the desired self and the ego. So it may look that desired self comes first. That's why in the story it said that who is elder, there is a doubt about it. But actually, the elder, because of which desired self is so active, is the ego self. So Hiranyakashipu is the ego, and Hiranyaksh is the desired self. We want to put it in psychological terms. So they are the ones, but strangely, in their own house, like in the family of Kans, is born Prahlad. So who does Prahlad represent? Prahlad is very clearly the psychic urgent man. Nenam chiddanti shastrani, nenam dhati pavaka. So nothing can really harm him. It is always surrendered to the Lord. And because it is surrendered, it is capable of redeeming not only the past account but all nature. So after Prahlad, the entire Asur jati changes. See, his son is Virochan. He is also a devotee of the Lord, though he a little bit is misled. His Virochan's son is Bali, who sacrifices. So in his lineage now, things change. They begin to worship the Lord. They begin to understand that yes, there is something. So there is an evolutionary aspect in the story, that they begin to, instead of revolt, asuras are who? They revolt against the divine. And you will see this. I get letters, where people, oh, why has God done this? Why there is this rape? Why there is this murder? First of all, it's not God who is doing this to start with. Don't pass on the buck to him as if you are jumping. There are middlemen. And that is the asura in man who does it. So why has the Lord brought asura? That also you see in the story. The asuras come first if you go back to the Vedic tradition. So why are asuras needed at all? Matter is not ready to wake up to the godlike impulsion. Tell a human being, I'm not talking of these standard stories or katha where people come, they are mostly, what prasad I will get, and they are all full of their desire. They will go to the Guruji, mera ye iksha pura, what have they done? Same thing, desired self, ego self, transferred onto a so-called divine or spiritual being, and he is granting it. He will have many more followers. But that's not how divine beings operate, truly divine beings. A truly divine being will take away your desire. There's a nice little story about it, that a man was meditating. He started with that, I want this ambition fulfilled. So he realized, like Hiranyakashipu, that if I meditate, this ambition can be fulfilled. If I pray and meditate, and he does tapasya. So after 10 years, Lord comes. He says, what do you want? I'll fulfill all your ambitions. He says, what ambition? I don't want anything. He says, are you sure? He says, yes. He forgot totally. So that is also a play of the Lord, that, he totally forgot. So that's why he allows tapasya to them, different kinds of tapasya. Maybe he'll undergo a change. Now, tapasya, any activity, religious activity, visiting temples, doing mala, what is important is the motive. You may wear a sannyasi's cloth, still your motive may be impure. You cannot imagine somebody doing a tapasya like her, and he is regarded as the ultimate tapasya anybody has done. Mother speaks about it. And Sri Aurobindo says some of the asuras are very religious. Religiously they'll go to temple. And before election, 100%. They will go. Of course, they are little better asuras than the others who will mock at the temple. At least they are slightly better. Hypocrisy is better than. So, but why you are going as if we can fool the Lord? So the message of the story again is, you cannot fool the divine. He knows the heart. He is not impressed. Oh, no, he has done so much tapasya. No, I am compelled to give whatever he wants. No, sir. He is not conditioned by any of it. Because the story starts from that Vishnu Bhagavan is conditioned. Narayana he says he is not conditioned. If he was conditioned, he would have just allowed Hiranyakashipu to have whatever he wanted. He doesn't. He plays a game? Yes, he plays a game. How does it change? That's very beautiful. Simply he changes by awakening something deeper. That's why Mother says, find the psychic being, find the divine presence within, and all your difficulties will disappear. You think that by doing this brath, this upavas, this nirjala ekadasi, this mala, try. Hiranyakashipu tried much, much more. His ego was not vanquished. On the contrary, he was doing all this to satisfy his ego. So what the divine sees is what's going on in the heart. And yet, because he is so merciful, he will, because you have taken his name after all. So he will come to you, he will give you an embrace because you are calling him. But he'll give you the embrace of the wrestler. See how Krishna gives the embrace of the wrestler to Kansa. Because that's what is required now. He wants that. Kans is all the time thinking of Krishna, all the time, with fear, with worry. Because this is also a question that King Parikshit asks later on. He said, why he came to such a fellow? He says, because this is the prabhav of taking God's name. He will come. But he will deal with you according to your nature. Maybe he'll destroy you and bring you to the ashes from where you will say, Lord, dekh liya apna karke, I have tried, I surrender. He'll bring you to that state. Or he'll absorb you back into himself. He has his ways. If you are remembering the Lord even with the wrong motives, he will still come and ensure that those motives are dropped or you are dropped. You come back to him. Because originally they are Jay and Vijay. We should not forget. Originally, Jay and Vijay were the ones who become first set of asuras in Satyug. Is Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyakashipu. They are the two asuras of Satyug. Then in Treta, they become Ravan and Kumkaran. Jay Vijay story we have discussed, so I'm not touching upon that. And in Dwapar, they become Shishupal and Dantavakra. In all of them, Lord redeems them. And in Kalyug, plenty. Okay. Because now is the final. Kiska naam le. Because now it's like vermins, locusts. Because he is now taking the final treatment. So what is the final treatment? Now when you destroy an asura, you destroy the head. But there are many of his children who will continue doing the work. So in the story there is a hint. It's not enough to destroy the asura. What is important is to awaken the psychic being within. That's what Prahlad represents. If this can be awakened, then the future is secured. So in the story, because Prahlad has all the signs of the psychic being. To the psychic being, people often ask, what is the sign I want to? It's not like that. If you have bhakti, if you are surrendered, if you have seva, service of the Lord, and if you truly want the Lord and nothing else, not what the Lord can give you. That's how Mother says, what do you want the yoga for? First conversation of the Mother in 1929, 7th April, why do you want the yoga? There are people who want to become great. They are hiding this intention. Oh, I'll be a yogi. Mother has removed all this here by your dress code. Otherwise, anywhere you go, seeing somebody in Gerwa Vastro, oh, yogi ji aage, no. You can't see. By yogi ji I mean general. Our yogi ji is a good instrument of the divine. Okay, so but otherwise, if you see somebody wearing Gerwa, you see. So she has removed all this, nothing outer. Because even becoming a sadhu and yogi these days is a big thing. You get free air tickets. You get for every lecture you get so much, and some of them charge heavy money. Do we really believe that they are yogis? They are not even worth Prahlad. So we should not be fooled. So in the story, there is this truth that don't be fooled by appearances. That's what Hiranyakashipu tries. That he has done tapasya, he has done this. And people in his kingdom believe him, that he is a great tapasvi. Don't be fooled. And even you may say a lie 100 times. It may appear truth for the ordinary people, but the divine knows. So it's half truth. When people say repeat a lie 100 times, people will take it as truth. Maybe ignorant people, but the Lord knows. You can't fool him. And there will be a moment of reckoning. So Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyakashipu, in their origin, they are Jai Vijay. That he has not forgotten. So however far you may stray, the Lord chases us, he knows us, and a time comes when he pulls us back, draws us back. And the most important lesson, there is hope for everyone. It doesn't matter what is your lineage. Prahlad is born of a first branded Asura's lineage. And one of his uncle has two of them with one sister. His uncle has destroyed almost the earth, submerged it in water before life can blossom. Second one has flooded the earth with all his emanations, brought all the asuric beings upon earth, and declared that I am God. And the sister is the power, energy, dark energy, which tries to destroy all Godward activities. She is the one who tried to destroy. Try all this. And yet, even in that family, Prahlad is born with all this. So, genetics, karma law, only up to a point. The grace is supreme. And that grace can completely cancel, annul everything. Then, very importantly, genes are there. But what is much more important, even a child in the womb, what is his genes? Of course, partly fathers, partly mothers. Mother is a nice lady. But more important is that education begins from that point of conception, mother's words. Education begins from the moment you conceive a child. In ancient scripture, if you read, there is a whole ritual of conception. There is a process that if you have to conceive a baby, it's not like blind sexual act. It's there in this story, in many other stories we have read. Blind sexual act just for joy, and then you have or pleasure. You can't call it joy also. And you have a child, you are basically sowing seeds of Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyakashipu. Or later on, Ravana's story is also similar. So you are bringing into the world, you must know what you are bringing into the world. And when you do it as a secret, even sexuality can be a secret act. Just imagine. And it there mentioned, even the process of conceiving a child through the invocation of higher energies. Mother has spoken about it. In fact, she has said, Superman will be born of the womb of a woman. So, sexual act will be there. But this sexual act can be lifted to what levels? And one of the classic example is, who is Savitri born to? Ashupati. There is an act. But this act is very different from just, any other that we hear. So even the activity, nothing need to be, people are afraid. Love, even a physical activity, even that can be uplifted to what levels, because it has serves a function as of now. Of course, the Superman, ultimately the supramental being will not need the act. But even such an activity can be uplifted to that level. Look at the profundity of the teaching. And then, whatever be your past, whatever be your parental things, ultimately there is something still greater. And that is the name of the Lord, which is the only thing Narad teaches him. And then he is asked actually, how did you get all this knowledge? The gods ask him. They ask him, how did you get all this knowledge? So he says, nothing. I was in the womb and my Narad Muni was teaching all this. I somehow absorbed. Now there is an interesting aside. But my mother forgot. His mother forgets it. Because, why? Because it's a question of receptivity. And while he received and he remembered, right from childhood he has received. So don't wait for your retirement age that now I will hear. Kayadhu did that. All her life she was a good lady, but she lived part of the Asura kingdom, lived with Hiranyakashipu, everything like that. But at heart she was a nice lady. Toward the end, by default or design, she was taken to the ashram where she heard. Now that's okay, it's fine, but she forgot everything. But start it right from childhood. Children should be exposed to beautiful and high things. That's exactly what Mother says. So, and then, of course, when Prahlad is repeatedly, we find this in the Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is not encouraging sannyas. It says sannyas is a path. It encourages always the yogis to be kings, govern the kingdom. We need such people. And you see, Prahlad also governs the kingdom, fights wars also. We have had one of the stories like that. They all govern the kingdom, they look after. So we want that. We don't want people to withdraw. Of course, that is a path. Repeatedly, the Bhagavat says there is a path like that. You can take sannyas. But the greatest of yogis are those who hurl themselves in the thick of the battle. And remembering the Lord, they do what they have to do. Which is the highest yoga, tapasya? If we go through the Bhagavat, only two things come repeatedly. Only two things. In fact, Bhagavat says all this tapasya, you are meditating for many years, all that is okay. It doesn't say don't do it. But the highest tapasya is remembrance of the Lord's name and doing service to the Lord with love in the heart. Devotional service, that's how it says. Repeatedly, in every story. And you see, what does mother say? When people come here, she would say only one thing. Here you must work. By default it becomes service of the Lord. But you should do it with love in the heart. Not as a dehadi. So this is one thing. And second, when she was asked what is the thing to be done, she said, remember and offer. I know this General Tiwari who fought during Bangladesh, and he was very inspired by the mother's vision. And initially he felt, how are we going to fight? Because they have American help and all this. And then someone wrote to the mother, and mother said, no, they must fight. And she sent blessings which were distributed to all the soldiers. And mother told him only one mantra which he remembered, remember and offer. And he was the general commandant, officer commanding of the Eastern Command, where the fight took place. And then eventually he came to Auroville. He lived here. Because he realized the power of the divine name. Remember and offer. The divine will take care. This is what we see in the story of Prahlad. Simplest of yogas. Just remember the divine, offer. And then have no fear. What will happen to you is the divine's problem, not your problem. What others will say or do to you is not your problem, divine's problem. What is my problem? How much I can be faithful in my remembrance. How much I can be clear in my remembrance. Purity is this, mother says, to remember with no motive. Motiveless devotion. Ahaitu ki bhakti. Prahlad had no motive. Not even this ki save me from my dad, give me the kingdom. Nothing. If you asked him, and that's how it is shown, I have not spoken of these details, he starts converting asuras there. So they ask him, why should you pray? He says, pray, it's the joy of it, he is the Lord, ultimate. So they all start listening. And the whole movement of Hari, Hari, Hari starts. Nobody attacks from outside, but from within. And all these asura children, that's how they are all with Prahlad. The moment he becomes king, they all are happy. Because he teaches them that, the name of the Lord is not for what I may get out of him, but for the joy of the Lord. There is a nice little conversation with which we'll stop. Mother's conversation. First conversation on yoga. 7th April 1929. Documented conversation. Somebody asked, will you tell me something about yoga? Tell us something about yoga. She says, what do you want the yoga for? To get power? She doesn't use the word like Hiranyakashipu. To satisfy your ambitions? She doesn't use the word like Ravana. To help humanity? To become great? And then she says, none of these motives show that you are even ready for the path. And then she says, the question you have to answer is this. Do you want the divine for the sake of the divine? Is the divine the raison d'etre of your existence? Not for what I can get. Not for what my children will get. Not for what my family will get. For the joy of the divine. She says, then it means that you are ready for the path. Then you have to do the rest that she says, there is a fire burning in the heart, concern. It applies then. Not otherwise. One may sit in meditation for many years, but yet become nothing else but an aggrandized ego like Hiranyakashipu. So it is the inner motive, the inner state which matters. Motiveless devotion is the highest devotion. There is nothing greater than devotion and service to the Lord if you go by the what Bhagavat says, and repeatedly. And Mother and Sri Aurobindo also affirm the same thing. Even the Gita affirms the same thing. The only yoga it says is that turn your intelligence towards the divine. Remember at all times Nishkam Karma, and then it speaks ultimately about surrender to the divine. Sarva Dharman Parityaja. So if one wants yoga made easy, this is yoga made easy. The most Sahaj yoga, and the art of not doing and yet everything, very beautifully captured in 2 lines of bhajan of Dvijendra Kumar Roy. Tomar karmo tumi karo ma loke bole karyami. You are the one who is the sole doer. The less one exists, the more one exists. To say that, because what we call as existence is like dead. Even if we have the reign over the 3 worlds like Hiranyakashipu, still we are subject. But if we are subject of the Lord in His service, then we are free. This is the paradox. Okay? Jai Ma.